Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today on this webinar/webcast. I am Justice Simon. I am the Product Marketing Manager for Mapp.com, and I'm joined today by Ajit Bola,
Senior Account Manager here at Mapp Digital.
Okay, so and today we're going to be talking about email as a whole, and as I said, this is a webcast. This will be made available to you via a link to YouTube after this broadcast as well, with a couple of the facts that we're going to be discussing today and a couple of the links and stats we're going to be sharing on our social media channels as well. So watch our LinkedIn, Mapp Digital, as well as Mapp Digital on Twitter. Now, this is also, as I mentioned, the first time we're doing a webcast. So if there's any technical gremlins, please do bear with us. We do have a backup plan in place where we'll still be able to talk to you and still be able to show you any of the content. So please don't disappear if there are any gremlins that do happen. So today we will be talking about email is dead, and the fact that a lot of people always think about the next evolution or the next stage of communications between humans, from person to person, as well as, of course, from business to people as well. And a lot of people like to take a dig at email or see it as this massively painted kind of target for where we're spending our money or how we're reaching out to people, spam, etc., 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 because of the way that's been used across the world. But personally, I think that email is very much a Swiss Army knife of marketing. And what that means, or what I mean by that, is that it can be used as a blunt instrument for those fire and forget type of emails, which still make a good amount of money, or it could be a tailored scalpel that you get out that essentially allow you to reach a person at exactly the right time with exactly the right content. Ajit, what do you with our clients and stuff like that, what do you think about email today? Is it growing? Is it slowing down? What's happening?
It's always growing. I mean, even with the kind of largest retailers, and even post GDPR, people are still sending more email than ever. And I think that goes to show really that there's a really strong emphasis to kind of stay front of sight, front of mind. And so we've got more personalized, more targeted, but the sheer volume of it's never going to go away and is always increasing year on year.
Is there any stats that you've seen in the past, any stats that you've read about, or anything that you've seen with, for instance, your clients? I know you work with some really big name brands. What have you seen where people are making money, or where we are seeing that email is still having this, what I've seen as a bit of a resurgence?
Yeah, I mean, I think as with kind of technologies kind of advancing and our ability to kind of have more interactive elements, more gamification, more ways to kind of keep it more engaging, ultimately that's helping a lot more with that propensity to buy and getting you more onto the website and ultimately helping you to kind of convert. If anything, now the amount of information that you can fit into an email and visualize is definitely helping along that buying process. And across all those kind of sectors, really, from telco to retail to restaurants, a similar kind of theme really in that sense, to really kind of captivate you and keep you in that email where possible.
Yeah, so that's one of the things, we've got a lot more content that we can put into emails. There's a lot more that we can do with emails today. It's not the shoddy text-based thing with an email HTML signature at the bottom like it was 15 years ago anymore. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to start taking you through a little bit of a presentation that's doing the rounds, and I apologize profusely for the little GoToWebinar bar somewhere on your screen there. It's one of those little technical issues that we've had. But otherwise, this presentation is making the rounds. It's something that we speak about a lot at shows, because it is very important that we have a look at the stats, that we have a look at the facts, that we have a look at where email is going and where email is now, and just what you can achieve with the medium. So email is dead. It's something that is essentially quoted every single time at the beginning of a year. I love it because there's so many of these LinkedIn experts that come out of the woodwork and say, email's dead because this new app or this new messaging system is being introduced. And we can kind of see why people say this, and that's because Facebook currently has 2.38 billion monthly active users. It's a hell of a lot of users, and we can see that there's a hell of a lot of momentum being made by these social media companies to start having these conversations in those particular channels or those particular platforms. Combined with the fact that Messenger or Facebook Messenger, something that's been dubbed as the new communication method, it's rich, it works well, it works from person to person quite well. is the most downloaded app in the world, it kind of makes it a bit of a worrying set of numbers when you think about email marketing as a whole. That combined, of course, with the fact that WhatsApp is the third most downloaded app in the world, another messaging app. You can send rich stuff to each other. Businesses have started grabbing onto it. You know, kind of makes us think that a lot of these experts that come at the beginning of the year saying, yeah, email's going to disappear, email's going down because of this and that. They could be right, especially when you look at, for instance, China with WeChat and all of those sorts of things and QQ, etc., in terms of their messaging. But the plain and simple fact is, of course, that email is not dead. And we wouldn't really be a business if we said that email is dead. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thanks for supporting that. And that's plain and simply due to the fact that as of, I think it's as of March this year, there's 5.6 billion active email accounts on this planet. So that is a tremendous amount. Now, I understand that that's not the monthly active users, etc., but that's 5.6 billion communication points across this planet. So email is definitely not dead. And once again, I'd really like to thank you all for being with us today and spending some time with us. We're going to be discussing email is dead, long live email. So in order for us to kind of go through all of this, we need to look at a little bit more stats to kind of talk about the fact that email is growing, although it has reached I would almost say a critical mass to a degree, unless something really big is done in the future. And this graph that you see on the screen right now, yeah, you might not see some of the stuff that's right above my head over here, but email on the bottom right-hand side, the yellow side, in 2018, there was 187 million emails sent every internet minute. That is a tremendous amount of emails that get sent. You know, that's in a minute. And when you consider that there's things such as there's Messenger on there, there's a lot of other different messaging apps above us right now, email still eclipses all of those, even when you combine them. Now, this has, of course, changed ever so slightly, and this is why I was mentioning the whole critical mass thing to you, Ajit, is emails, according to these researchers, emails only increased by 1 million per minute extra. Now, yeah, that's still a hell of a lot of emails, but it still eclipses what the other messaging channels are doing. So that whole concept of something was replacing email, although email isn't growing at the speed of, for instance, messaging app, it's definitely still big. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, you see now in 2018, you've had a lot of these new emerging platforms kind of really have a good run, but you've seen a decline in 2019. Now, the old workhorse that is email, been going for many, many years,
yeah,
but yet still is on a gradual kind of upward kind of trend. So I think it does goes to show that year on year, there is still that trust element of email and its reliability that people and brands trust their revenues in.
I think it's actually becoming a little bit bigger, plain and simply due to the fact that people are signing up for emails because they know they can go and unsubscribe. Since GDPR kicked in, you get a lot more people that sign up for stuff because they know that they can be taken off of those lists. They know that there's a legal obligation to take them off of those lists. And people also have a little bit of muscle memory. When you take out your phone in the mornings, imagine when you look through your Gmail and you just swipe to the left to delete stuff or swipe to the right to archive stuff. It's instantly gone, it's instantly taken care of, and it's almost like muscle memory to go through it. So getting emails is not a big issue.
But to add to that as well, I mean, I think any kind of device you buy in this day and age, whether it be a phone, laptop, or anything, email client is already there, ready to kind of go,
Yeah, so it's huge. But now, the problem is when we look at the future, we need to have a look at that email number that we've got somewhere on the screen here. Sorry, I'm a little bit disheveled when it comes to the direction of my finger. But fact remains is that we want to see that email number go up because it is such a trustworthy source. And I think that that's coming. And this is something that Ajit and I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about this for months, actually. I've been talking about this at shows. I've been talking to clients, to prospects, to absolutely everybody on the street that I can find to have a chat about this. And the next evolution in email is definitely AMP, or Accelerated Mobile Pages by Google. Now, to explain to everybody what that is very fleetly, and I'm going to dumb this down quite significantly because even I'm not that technical. But AMP is essentially a framework that you can go and call from. You can go and make a call to pull data in or to make data visually available to somebody on email. Now, it was introduced firstly to websites to make them load quicker on mobile phones, or to make the experience on mobile phones a hell of a lot quicker. And Google now uses this quite as quite a significant thing within their search results as well. But what it allows in that framework is it allows you to pull in a feature, a function from data, so that data can be changed. So imagine you're sending out an email today and you've got some text in it. You can't go and change the text afterwards, but in an AMP email, you'll be able to change the text afterwards. So that in itself is revolutionary. So if you made spelling errors, guess what? No more spelling errors in the future. And this is a great example. This is Booking.com that worked with Google on this. You can manage your subscription directly from the email. You don't leave the email. So you don't miss out on the deals. You don't miss out on that second click in the email. You just manage it directly from this. If a deal doesn't work for you like there, you click on see a new deal. It can load animated GIFs. It can load any data from a web service. And it looks really sexy. It looks really pretty. It functions very well, and it stops the user from leaving their email client to go and look at something or to do something that might not be the most pertinent thing for them to do and never come back to the email, maybe missing out on a really good deal. Another great example is, of course, Pinterest. And I think that this is kind of the poster child for what AMP can do, is because you can literally go, if you're logged in, you can go and pin your posts and look at pins or posts in the email itself. No need to go to the app, no need to go to the website, nothing. It is freaking amazing. And then the final example that we've got is for Oyo, very up and coming business, very big currently here in the UK. And what Oyo's done is they allow you to go into the details. They allow you to make a carousel as shown, look at the details of a property, and then look at more details within the details. That's huge. Yeah, that's massive. That means that you can go and do a hell of a lot in an email without leaving that email.
Like
do you have clients? What do you think about this, Andrew? Is there any?
I mean, at the minute, it's really hot property. I mean, from my own clients, I think at the minute it's a bit of an arms race, really, to be the first kind of brand to kind of get it done. I think with it being so new, it's definitely got that kind of captivating style kind of feel to it. And I think brands have recognized that now. And to be the first gets that buzz going, whether it be socially or all over the internet. So ultimately, yeah, I think that's where people want to be at. But the problem, I think, at the minute, AMP is so new and has so much kind of, potential. How do you kind of narrow in a use case, I guess, that is kind of fitting to what you want to achieve?
I think that's one of the big questions around AMP today is the fact that people want to know if they should invest in it or not. And we got a lot of questions that shows related to that. And it's currently a case of, you should look into it and see which use cases will definitely work for you as a business. And in the same breath, you need to, of course, first wait for the ESPs or your email service providers to catch up to include this into their feature set. Because it's not a simple thing to go and do. It's not something that's just done overnight. It's quite difficult to do. But the thing is, the more they invest in this at this moment in time, the better prepared they are for when it comes in full swing. Yahoo and Hotmail have already kind of said, we'll maybe introduce this as a standard. And you can see the value that it brings to consumers just from the way that it was used on the web. So if you'd like to know more about AMP, if you'd like to know a lot more about the technical side of things, you can always contact us here at Mapp Digital, or you can visit one of those pages. It's the official AMP for email dev community and the dev pages. So it'll explain to you how it works, how the coding works, etc. We are currently trialing this with a couple of clients, so definitely have a look at our social media or keep an eye on that, and we'll most probably be releasing some really sexy stuff in the next couple of months. The issue is, however, as with AMP, is that we have a lot of clients saying, should I spend a lot of time and money on it? And right now, because there's a lot of there's not a lot of clarity on how it works or how it will be reported or how it will be implemented, we need to look at what's currently available. And I think that interactive email today is absolutely capable of doing a lot of these things, albeit not as flexibly as what AMP is going to offer. This is an extreme example of an email. For those of you out there seeing this little animated thing on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your screen, that's not an animated GIF. That is email monks doing a little bit of a show-off, swinging around, showing what they can do in an email. That is an interactive email. You use the little arrows on the left-hand side to drive the little car around until you get to the house, and then you're presented with something. So gamifying, or at least adding some level an extreme level of interactivity into emails. And whilst not every brand has the capabilities or the agencies or the funds or the time to do this, there are some really other cool examples, such as one of our clients, right?
Yeah, so Pizza Express in this case, during the Easter kind of period, it was going to gamify their email campaigns a little to drive you to enter their Easter egg competition. Now, if you really look at the back end of what that email is, it's not kind of rocket science. I think actually in this case, it's more like a checkbox kind of field in the actual creative.
Yeah.
Well, they visualize with just those cards kind of spinning around. But everyone that I spoke to that saw that email straight away, like, I couldn't believe that was actually possible. You know, it's amazing. I just want to keep playing the game. Maybe you could take it one step further and actually have a few people kind of lose the game to make it a bit more realistic. But for the purpose of getting people to enter that, you know, it was like rocket fuel.
It's just another way of making people do things. And the sketch card thing lends itself extremely well to it. It's simple enough to do. You don't have to do a lot from a graphics perspective, from a resource perspective. And it does definitely add a level of interactivity to emails, which is quite lovely. Do keep in mind, if you have any questions, just on a side note, you can ask them. We've got a moderator, the ever amazing Kirsten, sitting across from us, and she will be asking us your questions a little bit later on as well. A second example is Rollovers, and this is one that I personally like this because Rollovers has always been a big thing. It's very Web 1.0 old website that still had music playing and animated GIFs somewhere or some really horrible graphics. But Rollovers do definitely serve their purpose, and in this case, you know, the interactivity from that is that you have text sitting in the background.
Yeah.
So you're sharing a lot more information about a product or service that you're selling. And it definitely adds movement to the website in response to the cursor movement or the tapping or the movement of the person themselves. So this is, you know, it's old school, but it works.
You've doubled your kind of real estate on that email for a really kind of easy way of just kind of flipping it around. So, you know, why not do that really and add more content where you can?
Very happy about that. One of the ones that I like, one interactive method that I like the most, I've been using this for absolute years, but I've been using this in a very barbaric, basic fashion. It's now kind of come to fruition where it's a hell of a lot nicer with rating stars being able to be introduced into the emails themselves. So if you click on the 5th star, it rates it as a 5, and you automatically go to a landing page that talks about that. Is these instant gratification, instant feedback buttons in an email. And this example by Handy is, you know, if you cast your vote and you click on vacuuming as an example, it'll take you straight to a landing page that has to do with your answer. And it automatically fills in a data field for you in a lot of cases in
real time, and use an API or something, and that's straight away against that user's profile now, move it to wherever you want, and it's marked against them now. So instantaneous.
Because it's for me, I hate preference centers. I can't stand a preference center. I think it's the most horrible invention on God's green earth. Whereas with this, it's a very quick way of capturing data. So do I want to receive emails monthly, weekly, or never again? You can go and click on that quite easily. Do I like the color brown for my trousers? You know, you can go and click the color, and you can very quickly start filling in the gaps of a user without taking them through these massive forms. So you can ask them a question in every single email. The interactivity level that this offers is I personally think unparalleled.
It's true.
For its usefulness. Have you got, how many clients have you got using this? Who's using it? Any good examples?
I think it's a really good example from, I think it was Asda a few years back, where it was around Halloween time. They'd done a kind of campaign with where you kind of selected, I think it was like different kind of products basically that you kind of liked. Obviously it was all kind of gamified, making it look like it was kind of, you know, serving a purpose of just keeping you entertained, but actually like they learned a hell of a load about you just through these kind of steps. But ultimately, I think, you know, that whole kind of concept is just how you kind of mask it in a certain way. Like, you know, you want
to put some thought into it.
And so wherever you can, just make it as soft as possible in terms of, hey, what do you think of this? Or we'll learn a bit more about you, you know, potentially even incentivize it maybe with a discount code or something. I think that value of learning more insight about someone, you know, it's unparalleled in terms of, you know, the kind of cost that you put in at the start for the tangible gain you'll get later on. So yeah, I mean you're saying,
my first example on something like this, or the first thought that comes into my mind is is large fashion retailers.
Yeah.
You know, when you have, like, for instance, a mum buying for more people in their household, you know, asking what gender you are isn't cutting it anymore. You know, who do you buy for? If it's a single click button, it's so much quicker to go and get stuff, because I know that I buy certain brands for my kids, which I won't buy for myself.
Yeah.
But they still send me men's clothing emails as an example. So very, very basic stuff, but it's like single click feedback. It's so quick.
Yeah, I mean, as well, going back to Pizza Express, actually, I don't think we have an example now, but, you know, in their kind of creative, actually, they even have like a block within it saying, do not want to receive this, just click it. And once again, it takes a landing page and it'll feed back against that user. But, you know, by doing that, it is making sure that the relevancy of your communications is always going to be pretty exact.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Apologies for that, guys. My finger slipped. And then the last bit of interactive email is most probably one of my favorites as well. And I think that the top example over there is most probably one of the most beautiful examples that I've seen in the marketplace. And this is where content carousels comes into place. One piece of information, and a lot of people, old school people, will say this is above the fold. But you can put a lot of stuff into one space, and you can make it really interactive and show more than one bit of information. You know, B&Q at the top there, they literally told people to use the little carousel on the right hand side. If you scroll over it, or if you go and click on it, then it changes the content. And HP at the bottom there, instead of just showing a PC, which is you know, in itself not the prettiest thing on God's earth, but they showed you the different angles. They showed you what it looked like in different rooms. They show you, you know, all these different views of it, and it looks really pretty. It kind of gets the point across when you're trying to sell a product that's aesthetically pleasing, or that people need to know more technical details about. So you work with a lot of clients who do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't work with Burberry, but I saw a really good example from them where it was the scarf bar email. I don't know if you saw it, where you basically could configure a scarf to different colors, maybe like you know, the name symbols, etc. And then eventually take you to a point where you could, you know, one click buy that and take you to the checkout page of Burberry from the email, where you had everything already kind of configured, all for using this kind of kinetic technology. And I'm a massive fan of it. I don't think I see enough of it really in the market at the minute.
And this isn't as difficult to do, right? This isn't something that you need a whole dev team for. You don't need to go and get, you can still get an agency to go and do it for you, or you can ask your ESP to help you with it. But once it's kind of set in stone, there's quite a few ways that you can use this as a templatized variant.
Why not? Yeah. I mean, you change the content around everything, but as long as the framework is kind of there and you have that to kind of go against, you know, you can churn this out quite a lot once you have that ready.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's absolutely perfect. Thanks a lot, man. So yeah, so that's the end of that little presentation. Ajit and I will now either have a little bit more of a conversation, or we will answer any questions that we might get. Kirsten, do we have any questions?
I have a few questions. Don't know if you want to chat this first, or
no, just ask us questions. Thanks, guys, as well.
So I've got a question from Jane. Should we use an agency if we can't scale AMP ourselves?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to do it correctly, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that AMP is going to, because AMP is a web service, or you're calling those web components, and this is where a little bit more technical me comes out, is you're going to need help on various fronts. So you're going to need to help set up the website of things, where the data is coming from, that needs to be changed, and then you're going to have to make sure that the emails themselves are coded correctly, and that it is done in such a way that it's not going to break. It's not, you know, that it'll work across the board, as well as, of course, create those fallbacks, the HTML and text fallbacks that you need for older email clients, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is something that we're actively working on here at Mapp. So, you know, we can happily help if Jane is interested. You know, follow up with us after the call, and you know, we can certainly put you in touch with our services teams.
Any other questions, Kirsten?
Yeah, I've got Georgia asking about, should I be doing AMP every week? I'm thinking if I do interactive email out of AMP, at the same time, it will start to get expensive.
Okay, so just in case you didn't hear Kirsten there, because I know that the microphone only points towards us. Apologies. Should I do AMP every week? Georgia asks, and she's asking if she needs to do interactive as well as AMP at the same time, because it could become expensive. Once again, it's one of those questions about how much budget do you have, and is the email important enough to do? I don't think that, you know, for run of the mill, these are our new ins, and you want to show this plethora of products. I don't think interactive is really there. You need to have something that's sexy.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think doing AMP every week, you don't want to dilute the wow factor as well from it, I guess.
But it's going to become standard at some point. So it will become, so you will do it at some point. You will do it once a week. You will do it 3 times a week. But we're not at the point there yet. It'll be quite a while. One of the greatest examples of a pretty email that shows a lot of movement and that shows a lot of thought is definitely Nike. Yeah. Their emails are just astonishing, absolutely beautiful. The design agency that do those is just, they're genius, because they consistently use movements in their emails, and it keeps me subscribed with them at all times. They will most probably do interactive emails very soon, but I'm thinking that the interactive emails will most probably be around new releases. So it's very much a case of you're going to target your interactive emails, you're going to target your AMP emails to campaigns in your market, something new, something big, something that you need to get a lot of data across. Or if you're a travel company, or if you're a company that just sells shoes and you want more information, AMP will work phenomenally well for that, but that will once again be a set standard that you're going to put in place. Show me shoe, show me more details, show me sizing details, as an example, much like the Oreo example that we saw a little bit earlier for the ratings. Anything? Or was that good?
No, that was solid, really. The nail on the head.
Sweet. Kirsten, anything else?
Yeah, I've got Alan asking, do you think AMP is mature enough for brands to fully make the switch over?
Alan, no.
I think while it's so unknown, and there really aren't any kind of solid guidelines because so little people have really explored it and tried and tested, you need to kind of have both running in tandem, I would say, for quite a while yet, until standards really kind of catch up.
I don't think we failed at it enough yet.
Yeah, agreed.
So we don't know where the failure points are. We don't know where the mistakes are in AMP. Completely making the switch over is also, it's a little bit of a moot point, because you have to have such a heavy Gmail presence in your database. And I'm talking about 80–90% of that. That I don't think that it's a good time to move over, because not a lot of people have a Gmail heavy database. Yeah. Kirsten, you're laughing. What weird comments are we getting?
Nice shirt, Ajit.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah.
Alan, okay. I hope that answers the question. I hope that helps a little bit in your decisioning. I think that it is an iterative process. So going from HTML to interactive and then to AMP might be the way that you want to do it. As I mentioned earlier with Ajit, there's use cases for absolutely everything, and interactive emails can definitely serve some really great purposes for you as well. Any more questions that aren't about Ajit's shirt?
Got sorts through.
I've got a question from Andre, and I'm not necessarily sure if we can answer this. It's a question, Gmail promo tab highlights tracking doesn't really feature. With AMP, is there metrics or tracking methods to see how many people actually have signed AMP?
Or click on it. Yes, so Andre, okay, very, very good question. This is something that we get asked a hell of a lot at shows. The problem about that particular question is that we don't know. Google will more than likely, and I've seen this in a video, I've seen this in some posts, but it's once again, this is very out in the ether information, is that it will kind of be tied into Google Analytics. Or ESPs will most probably have some APIs that they can call to kind of find out what the details of that was. It's a completely new doc type. It uses a lot of information from the web, so it calls that web framework. How that's going to be tracked, we don't know the exact details of. So apologies that I can't answer that perfectly. Anything else?
I think we've got a few Mapp related questions, and I think maybe we should get them in touch with some of the Mapp stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So if you have any Mapp related questions, we'll drop you an email afterwards, or you can contact us. What's our email address?
Is sales@mapp.com, or if you have already with Mapp, contact your account manager.
Yeah, so please do contact your account manager. people like Ajit, if you are interested in any of these things, or contact our sales team at sales@mapp.com or through our website, mapp.com, if you'd like to know more about the services that we can provide or the platform that we've got for you. So that's, if we don't have any more questions, then we can kind of close this off a little bit. It's a little bit shorter than the hour that we scheduled this for, even though I didn't really want to schedule this for an hour because it is quick. But we definitely hope that this has helped you. If there's any questions, you can drop us a tweet on Twitter. Not that I should have said that, but hey, at Mapp Digital, or drop us an email, or join us on LinkedIn or Facebook. We will answer your questions as well. And we hope that you join us next time, where we'll have a customer with us as well, hopefully today, or a client. They had to cancel last moment, so apologies for that. And we hope this has been informative. Please do have a chat with us on social media so that we can gauge how this went. Please do rate us or leave us a little bit of a review. But thank you very much for coming along and spending time with us. We'll make sure to send you the presentation afterwards as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.